Hi, Professor. Welcome to our presentation. My name is Tamara Ramos, and joining later will be Amy, Yasmin Ayala, and Robert Tenorio. And we will be presenting our Netflix analysis, where we'll be taking a closer look at the company's background, its financial performance in the US market over the past 5 years, how it compares to competitors, and the strategic position it holds today. Why Netflix? We chose Netflix because it's not just a streaming service, it's a platform that reshaped the entire entertainment industry. With over 260 global subscribers, it was one of the first to popularize subscription based streaming in the United States. It holds 21% of the SVOD market share, which we'll be talking about in the later slides, and it puts it just right behind Amazon Prime Video. What makes Netflix interesting is its consistent innovation. Whether it's releasing binge worthy originals, adapting its pricing model, or pushing boundaries with interactive content. We also think it's a great case for understanding changing consumer behavior and how digital platforms compete for people's attention. For Netflix overview, Netflix was founded in 1997 and is headquartered in Los Gatos, California. Today, it offers everything from films and TV series to games, all in a wide variety of languages and genres. It operates in the subscription video on demand space, or SVOD, and competes directly with platforms like Disney Plus, Hulu, Prime Video, and even traditional networks that are trying to shift into streaming like HBO. So, the SVO model is pretty straightforward. Users pay a recurring fee for access to a content library. Netflix started off with a one size fits all model, but now offers different tiers, including the ad supported version we just talked about. In this crowded industry, platforms now focus less on gaining users and more on keeping them engaged by producing original content, improving the user experience, or bundling with other services like Disney has with Hulu and ESPN. We'll touch more on that on the other slides. So let's go back to the market share. This chart shows that the US SVOD market shares as of mid 2024. This is the last data. Amazon Prime Video holds the largest share with 22% of the market, which I don't think is necessarily fair since it's included with the Prime subscription. Netflix is right behind at 21%. Disney Plus follows at 15, and Hulu is closely behind with 13%. And there's platforms like Max with 8%, Apple TV with 5, Paramount with 7, and Peacock with 1% that fill out the rest of the market. What stands out here is that even though Amazon has an advantage in market share, Netflix is still leads in the revenue per user, which means that even though with about the same share of viewers, them and Amazon share about the same amount of viewers. Netflix is earning more per subscriber, which is a sign of both pricing power and brand loyalty. We'll also get into that later. Now, here we're comparing the global streaming revenues of the top SVOD competitors in 2024. And even though our main focus is the US, this data helps us understand the scale and monetization power of each company. Let's break it down. Netflix earned 39 billion globally, which is more than double any competitor. Amazon Prime brought in about 13.5 billion, Hulu reached 12 billion, and Disney came in at 10.4 billion. Even though some of these platforms have large user bases, Netflix clearly dominates when it comes to converting those users into real financial returns. Now, focusing in US and Canada from 2019 to 2024, this chart is pulled directly from their 10K reports, from Netflix 10K reports. As you can see, revenue increased from 10.05 billion to 17.36 billion. That's a 73% jump over 5 years. Now for pricing power, as we have talked about, Netflix has a strong pricing power. Back in 2010, the number was $7.99, the cost of membership. By 2024, it had risen to $24.99 with the premium plan, even though they still offer a $7.99 plan. This growth with ads, this growth shows how Netflix has not only retained users but gotten them to pay more over time. And that brings us to that next part of our presentation, where we'll be taking a closer look at why users continue to pay higher prices and what makes Netflix model so successful.
everyone, this is Amy, and today I'm gonna be breaking down Netflix's current strategy and take a deeper look at how it fits both red and blue ocean strategy models, and we will also discuss what makes a good strategy and a bad strategy, since Netflix has shown both at different points. But let's start with what is Netflix's core strategy. Netflix operates on a subscription video on demand model, or also known as SVOD, which means users paid a monthly fee to access a library of TV shows, movies, and original content without any ads, or with ads if they choose to pay a lower cost tier. This model prioritizes predictable, recurring revenue and encourages long-term subscriber retention. But Netflix doesn't just throw content out there and hope for people to watch it. One of the strongest parts of this strategy is that it's data-driven personalization. By tracking what you watch, when you pause, what genres you prefer, and even the thumbnails that you click on, Netflix uses algorithms to recommend shows and movies that are most likely to keep you watching. This personalization reduces giving you recommendations that you never even click on, increases engagement, and builds customer loyalty. Another critical strategic pillar is their investment in original content. Things like Stranger Things, The Crown, or Wednesday. Wednesday just recently dropped their second movie. The trailer just came out, and something super cool that I noticed that other streaming services have never done before is that Netflix uploaded on YouTube the trailer, and the trailer was consisted in the first 6 minutes of the first episode. Um, and yeah, I feel like it that helps to increase customer engagement and viewers engagement. Or and these originals tend to give, they were able to provide the 6 minutes of the first episode, thus give Netflix exclusive content that competitors can offer. It is expensive, yes, for them to build like movies from scratch, but it helps Netflix control both the quality and distribution rights, creating long-term value and building its own intellectual property. In recent years, they have also made a big push into like global expansion and localization. That means offering content in over 30 languages, often filmed in countries with local actors and writers. I will like you guys to like think of like Money Heist from Spain and Squid Game from South Korea. Also, they just recently launched a movie called K-pop Demon Hunters. I think it's really cool that they expanded into K-pop, since like K-pop is very known right now, and also introducing K-pop or like Korean culture into kids now. Yeah, this strategy broadens their appeal and helps them grow in international markets. And lastly, Netflix pricing strategy is more flexible than they used to be. Now they offer three major tiers, which is the ad-supported basic, the standard, and the premium. These lets them serve different segments of the market while still competing with lower cost of or free platforms. And what is Netflix very strategic? In a red ocean, companies fight over existing market share, often through price wars, heavy competition, and very little differentiation. I want you guys to think of like traditional cable TV or even modern platforms like Hulu or Max. Content becomes commoditized and profits are squeezed. Netflix began in a red ocean. Back in the DVD rentals days, it was competing against Blockbuster and other rental chains, but Netflix shifted into a blue ocean when it introduced streaming. It created an entirely new market, a space where there was little competition, low customer friction, and lots of untapped demand. People no longer needed to drive to a store or pay late fees. This innovation gave Netflix a huge early mover advantage, but strategy isn't always perfect. So, what makes a good strategy? A good strategy is when a company action aligns with its goals, when there's a clear value proposition, and when the company leverages its core capabilities in a way that's hard to copy. Netflix has done this well. Its ability to use data, produce unique content, and scale globally is very hard for others to match. And a bad strategy, on the other hand, often lacks focus, confuses customers, or ignores external threats. One of Netflix's rare strategic missteps was back in 2011 when they launched Quickster. Netflix tried to split its DVD and streaming services into two separate websites with two separate charges. Customers hated it, it was too complicated, the stock price fell, and the company quickly reversed the decision. It showed that even a leader like Netflix can stumble when a strategy gets disconnected from customer service. To summarize, Netflix's current strategy is a strong example of blue ocean thinking. They created and dominated a new category. Their approach is mostly a good strategy because it's aligned, data driven, and hard to imitate. But as we've seen, even Netflix has had its baddest strategy moments, and what makes the company strong, its ability to course correct quickly and keep innovating. Now I'm gonna pass it to my teammate, and thank you so much.
Hello, my name is Yasmin, and I'll be talking about the internal conditions and external conditions. Let's begin with Netflix's internal environment and its strengths and weaknesses. First, with strengths. Netflix has a powerful AI driven recommendation system. This is an engine that helps users discover shows that they're most likely to enjoy. And it's the major reason why people stay engaged and keep watching. And right here we have a little picture, a preview of what Netflix shows its customers to recommend. Second, Netflix is one of the most recognizable brands in entertainment. When you think of streaming, you think of Netflix, just how when you think of tissues, you think of Kleenex. What I'm trying to say is Netflix is the face of streaming. And third, the company produces a lot of original content in house, like Stranger Things and Squid Games, giving it more creativity and flexibility. But Netflix also faces internal challenges. Its biggest concern is debt. Netflix has borrowed billions to fund their original content. Another issue is price sensitivity. Every time Netflix raises its subscription fees, it risks losing users. And then there's content overload. When there's so much being released, hundreds of titles and movies, people get overwhelmed and they tend to cancel their subscription on some things and stick to what they're more familiar to. Now we move on to external conditions. Let's start with opportunities. There is an emerging markets in India, Southeast Asia, and Latin America. These regions have a huge population and there is a rising in internet access and entertainment. In fact, Netflix affordable mobile plans in India uh, are already gaining attraction. Another big opportunity is gaming. Netflix has started releasing mobile games tied to popular shows like Stranger Things, and it's quietly building a game studio. This opens the door to deeper audience and engagement. Another opportunity is Netflix is also exploring live content. It recently tested live comedy specials and hinted at expanding its live sports and competitions. This could attract audience and still tune into cable. This could attract an audience that is still into cable and real-time events. Now for threats, there are many competitors like Disney Plus, HBO Max, Amazon Prime Video, and Apple TV. The list keeps growing and they're all competing for viewers. There's also a rise in subscription fatigue. Many people are hitting a limit on how many services they're willing to pay for. Some might cancel Netflix for a few months and resubscribe later. Then the question is, was it successful? And there's quantitative evidence and qualitative. So we'll start with quantitative. Back in 2007, Netflix brought in just 1.36 billion in revenue. Fast forward to 2024, that number has grown to 40 billion. That's an incredible growth in the last 2 decades. They now have over 270 million subscribers worldwide as of mid 2025, reflecting a strong global reach. In terms of stock performance, Netflix Netflix's 10-year return has significantly outpaced the S&P 500, rewarding the long-term investors. And when it comes to original content, the return on investment speaks for itself. Squid Game, for example, cost just 21 million to produce and it generated nearly 900 million in value, according to Bloomberg. These numbers show how Netflix has scaled and why it remains the leader in the streaming space. And then I show the qualitative evidence. Netflix is the top streaming platform worldwide with strong brand that people know and trust. It keeps users hooked with smart recommendations, which helps people find the shows that they love and allows them to stay longer. Netflix original shows like Stranger Things, Squid Games had a huge cultural impact in trendings all around the world. For example, these shows have started trends on social media and even like Halloween costumes. It's just a big culture trend. And and overall, Netflix has changed the way we watch TV and forcing traditional media companies to catch up.
So hello everyone, my name is Robert Tenorio, and today we will be discussing about our company Netflix. Netflix remains a global streaming leader, but there are clear areas for improvement, which is what we will be talking about today. First, rising content costs are squeezing margins, especially with growing competition from other platforms such as YouTube and TikTok. Secondly, subscriber growth is slowing down in mature markets, signaling saturation, meaning this space is getting crowded. Lastly, Netflix has launched ad-supported plans. It has room to optimize ad revenue and improve engagement, particularly in emerging markets where price sensitivity is higher and larger. So basically, for Netflix to continue its growth from year to year, they need to implement new content to create higher customer satisfaction, show more live sports or concerts, big events such as a Lady Gaga concert, Beyonce concert, more boxing matches like the Jake Paul versus Mike Tyson. Everyone tuned into the fight. Everyone bought Netflix just to tune into the fight. So things like that will create improvement for Netflix. Adding packages with ads or without. So keeping the same packages that you have now, but also implementing little things like that, like a basic package with ads. Maybe it's a little cheaper, more affordable for everybody. But the only difference is having ads, which Netflix can also make money off of those ads too. And so as the companies that are involved in with Netflix. So that would be a great, deal they can make. Netflix advertising, so using video games and TikTok to market the company. So any new trailers that are coming out on Netflix, put them on TikTok, put them in video games, put them on the PlayStation Network, whatever you need to do to expand the contents. So talking about expanding contents, we need to implement contents from all around the world to give variety to the customers, to give variety to the content, and a whole package deal, right? For example, Squid Games was made outside of the US, and Netflix purchased that film to then show it on their platform. And the numbers it did was amazing. Multi-million dollar deals, and profits were made with this strategy. And so I would just keep doing it. If it's not broken, don't fix it. On to the next thing. Strategic recommendations. Now, this is where the scale, the ad supported tier globally strategy comes into effect. So it unlocks like a large segment of price sensitive users and diversifies revenue beyond subscriptions. Secondly, you want to invest in localized content for emerging markets. So this will drive user acquisition, improve retention, and help Netflix stay ahead of competitors in the region. In addition, you got to use data analytics to make content investments more efficient, focus on high ROI productions and partnerships to reduce the risk for the company. So again, I'm gonna bring up Squid Games because this is probably the best investment Netflix has ever did, right? For season one, for Squid Games, 265 million views in the first 91 days, right? So they purchased a film outside of the US to bring onto the US platform, Netflix, and they made 265 million views. So you use that data to do this again. Like, okay, what do the people like? And then now you do it again and again and again with other films. But it has to have the right data analytics that connects to the consumers and subscribers in this case. And those are perfect strategic recommendations if you ask me, because look, every year it grows exponentially, right? You go from 21.5 million to 302 million in the amount of a decade or more. So what does this prove? It proves that Netflix has to adapt no matter what they've done, no matter what they did in the past. The question is, how do they adapt now? How do they change their platform for the better, right? And the only way Netflix can do this is to widen the reach, right? Get more people on the platform. So how do you do that? You expand everything you're good at. So the content, the prices, the advertisement, all of those things come together to give you that growth that you need the company to go to. And so with that, that's Netflix. They make millions to billions of dollars doing these strategies. I think they will do the exact same thing as the years go by. And I only see their stock going up too long term. Once they adapt way more strategies like this, I think that stock price will go up. And so it's not financial advice, but I am a current holder and I'm glad I did when it was very low back then.